as we head into these NWSL matches, it's like week to week leading into these final stretch here, we've had like all these different scenarios coming into play, right? And things that we're watching for week in and week out during these last final, let's say stretch of 6 weeks even. It's really been go time for so many of these teams. So even just heading into this weekend's slate of matches, let's talk a little bit about things that were on the line and maybe some things that sort of happened. Beginning of this weekend, OL Reign and Portland Thorns had already clinched their playoff spots. Racing Louisville and Kansas City NWSL were eliminated from playoff contention. Washington Spirit out of this weekend have clinched a playoff berth. Orlando Pride are officially out of playoff contention with this weekend's slate of games. And Portland Thorns finally clinched that elusive Shield. It was kind of running away from them for a little bit, but they clinched the Shield. They clinched first, and that means that they will absolutely host a semifinal. And it is their second time in club history in which they were able to lift the NWSL Shield, and they're just racking them up. I mean, just racking up all kinds of titles in 2021. So props to them. It was quite the weekend going in for sure. And now exiting this, it's still like that picture is still open, but there's some things that have been solidified a little bit.
It has it. And Portland Thorns could have clinched. I think the earliest they could have clinched a playoff spot was the 10th or even before that. Or the Shield, excuse me. They could have clinched the Shield on the 10th. But as you said, things kind of got away from the Thorns in these last few weeks. And I think OL Reign made an incredible run for that Shield. I thought they were coming for the Thorns, and they did come pretty close. But Portland, they did it. They end up on top. Mark Parsons with this win and this clinch becomes the most winningest coach in NWSL history, which is really a huge accomplishment for him and for the Thorns. I know the players really love him, and speaking with him, I really enjoy him. And he's leaving the league and the Thorns after this season, going to coach internationally for the Netherlands. So this, I think, like him becoming the winningest coach in NWSL history, getting the NWSL Shield with Portland Thorns, just it's happy moments, especially for the Thorns. The happy dances, the crying from those players is just so fun to watch and see. But there were so many moving parts heading into this weekend. We knew a few things, but as the games were happening on Saturday, it was like, okay, now how does this change the playoff scenario? Now what happens? Oh, the Golden Boot race is happening. Yeah. And there was like so many different things to watch. I needed like 15 screens.
We kept referring, I know we kept referring to it as like NWSL math. We were like, all right, we got to do like our NWSL math. Like, what's the NWSL equation? Like, how's it going to be looking like? What's it looking like heading into this weekend? And like, what's it looking at like after Saturday? Okay, like now what's it looking like going into Sunday? What's it looking like now after Sunday? It's just been back and forth. And it's just been like really, really exciting to sort of take all this in. And, and it's all happening. Of course, we will continue to keep this message going as the players have requested, but it's all happening in light of all of the things that have been coming out in terms of the reporting around previous instances of sexual misconduct, unequal treatment, abusive behavior, stuff like that. And the players are doing their demonstrations. That has also continued into this weekend's slate of games that we're going to get into. The demonstrations are looking a little different now. It's still pausing for a full minute of solidarity and reflection, but instead of happening in the 6 minute, it's now happening at kickoff. So at the kickoff, players are coming together in the center circle, locking arms in solidarity and continuing their demonstrations for enough is enough in terms of no more silence. So that is also continuing during these games as well.
It is continuing, and the players are doing it. Coaching staff is joining. I've seen officials and referees joining in that circle of solidarity. I'm glad the ripple effect is continuing because this story is not over, and I know it made big news headlines and everyone was aware of it. Everyone in the world who doesn't even follow women's soccer was aware of it. And I want to make sure that everyone continues to be aware of it because the problem has not been fixed yet. We've put a Band-Aid over the bullet holes of firing these coaches, but there are still things in the league that need to be changed. And that's what these players are standing together for. Actually, it was telling someone else about it this weekend. I was like, you don't know this news. You need to be up and in on which they were talking to the wrong person because we obviously know everything about it. And I was very passionate about sending them links and making sure that everyone is informed because it's still a fight that the players are fighting and will continue to fight.
Yeah, and it's just so I think it's what makes some of these scenarios like a little bit more remarkable, honestly, as
Mhm.
yes, people who are watching this and viewing it as a soccer game, but people who are also looking at these games, as part of our jobs and having to cover them in certain different types of lenses, whether it's like being amazed or having to be critical and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So having to look at these performances still take place in light of everything going on just sort of makes them stand out that much more. And it's why, like, when we're looking at all these different scenarios, and then you're seeing the players go out there and perform and really put out, put their hearts out on their sleeves and try to get those results, and it's very, very telling. You could just sort of see, everything that they're giving, and it just all sort of is bleeding together right now. Let's take a look at these standings a little bit because even though there's been some, uh, positions that have been clinched in terms of, the remaining playoff spots, there's essentially now 3 slots left for the playoff table, and within those 3 slots, it's like 4 teams are essentially competing for these final remaining spots. So, we wanted to do things a little bit differently, in our episodes going forward, with all of the constant changing of the table, with the regular season winding down. And we figured, hey, we're going to be doing a few more of these. Let's hit you all up at the top of the podcast, so you don't have to hang around if you're not ready to hang around. We're going to hit you with these standings right now. Exiting this weekend's, slate of games, the standings are as follows. It's Portland Thorns. They locked up that number 1 with 43 points. Number 2 is Oil Rain with 39 points. Washington Spirit in third place with 36 points. Chicago Red Stars in fourth place with 35 points. New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC in fifth place with 32 points. Houston Dash in sixth place with 32 points. On the outside looking in is North Carolina Courage with 32 points. And officially eliminated is Orlando Pride in eighth place with 28 points. Racing Louisville FC in ninth place with 20 points. And in 10th place, Kansas City NWSL with 15 points. So that's how things are shaking out after the games, this weekend. And things aren't going to slow down, by any means, even though there's 2 weeks left in the regular season to kind of shake things out and iron things out here. There's still going to be more soccer on the horizon, Lisa. There's a FIFA window that's coming into play coming up this week. The United States women's national team is going to be playing a couple of games, and Gotham FC and Kansas City are going to be the only 2 clubs playing an NWSL fixture during this window, and that's because it's that final rescheduled match, I believe.
Yes, that's what it is. They only played 4 matches last Wednesday. So these are the rescheduled other ones between Gotham and Kansas City, and it will be played in Kansas City at Legends Field.
It's gonna be this isn't the preview episode, but
Oh,
there's a team that is clearly playing for something, and there's another team that's been playing spoiler, and those types of matches have been sort of playing themselves out very, very exciting. Kansas City, I'm alluding to them as that team. They've really embraced kind of that like spoilery kind of role, and they've been having an impressive run of games to sort of kind of make their exit from the 2021 regular season, whereas Gotham FC is obviously in a different position. They've got not just 1, but 2 games in hand compared to all the other clubs. Sort of when we're looking at the 24 games in front of each club, Gotham is only at 21 games played right now, so they've got 3 versus the 1 or 2 games some other clubs have, as well.